6 o'clock, right? Okay.
It is now 6 p.m. and I hereby call this meeting of the San Benito County Planning Commission to order. If we could get the Pledge of Allegiance, Commissioner Ringhayden, could you please lead us in the pledge?
Ready, begin. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If we could have roll call, please.
Absolutely. District 1, Vincent Ringhayden.
Present.
District 2, Richard Way.
Present.
District 3, Robert Scaliotti.
Present.
District 4, Robert Gibson.
Present.
District 5, Celeste Toledo Bocanegra.
Present.
We have all commissioners present and a quorum.
Thank you. Department announcements.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the Planning Commission. Good evening. Abraham Prado, Director of Planning and Building Services for the County of San Benito. Since our last Planning Commission meeting, that was on June 19, 2024, we've actually had 8 discretionary applications that were submitted. And I'm going to briefly go through them so that way you get a sense of what the applications that we have and currently processing are. The first one is conditional use permit application PLN 240025, and that's at Santa Ana Valley Road and Quinsabe Road. And this is for the planning of Class B biosolids land spreading operations to be conducted at the property. And the property is located, as I mentioned, Santa Ana Valley and Quinsabe. It's approximately 4.6 miles southeast of Hollister. The next application, minor subdivision application PLN 240030, is a request to subdivide an existing 160.18 acre parcel into 2 lots, consisting of lot 1 would be 17.89 acres and lot 2 would be 142.29 acres. And the property is located approximately half of mile southwest of the city of San Juan Bautista. Currently, the application is being processed, and we will be bringing it forward at a later date to the Planning Commission. Number 3, major subdivision plan unit development application PLN 240032 is a request to subdivide an existing 35.32 acre parcel into 7 lots as indicated in the screen. Lot 1 would be 27 acres, lot 2 would be 1.07 acres, lot 3 would be 1.07 acres, lot 4 would be 1.19 acres, lot 5 would be 1.08 acres, lot 6 and lot 7 would each be 1.11 acres, and the property is located at 1775 Orchard Road, approximately 7.9 miles northeast of the city of Hollister. Again, currently processing this application and will be provided to you at a later date. Number 4, zone change application PLN 240034. It consists of a proposed zone change from M1 light industrial to M2 heavy industrial to allow for a concrete ready-mix facility, an asphalt concrete recycling operation, and a concrete precast operation with associated support uses. The property is located at 2751 San Juan Hollister Road, approximately 0.4 miles southwest of the city of Hollister. Application number 5 is a development agreement application, PLN 240037, is a request for a development agreement between the County of San Benito and San Benito Holdings, LLC, Mark H. Johnson and Gregory N. Wheeler. It is for the San Benito Ag Center proposed conditional use permit application. And the property is located at the southwest area of Cyril Road and Highway 129, approximately 2.7 miles northwest of the city of San Juan Bautista. And this application is currently being processed. This request would need to come before the Planning Commission for a recommendation to the Board of Supervisors, and then the Board of Supervisors would then either decide to adopt or not adopt in the form of an ordinance. The next application, PLN 240040, is a request to adjust the location of an existing 4.09 acre recorded open space easement. And the request is to relocate it to a different location in order to potentially improve the site with a potential commercial development. And the property is located at 255 Somerset Road, approximately 0.4 miles south of the city of Hollister, west of the intersection of Union Road and San Benito Extension. The next one, minor subdivision application PLN 240041, is a request to subdivide an existing 33.27 acre parcel into 2 lots consisting of 21.75 acres, and lot 2 would be 10.54 acres. The property is located at 4820 and 4821 Southside Road, located approximately 1.7 miles south of the city of Hollister. 40042 as a request to subdivide an existing 25.58 acre parcel into 3 lots consisting of lot 1 and 2 would each be 5 acres and lot 3 would be 18.42 acres. The property is located at 1401 Orchard Road, approximately 4.9 miles northeast of the Hollister Airport. That is all in regards to the applications submitted since June 19, our previous Planning Commission meeting. And again, this is a request that was by the Planning Commission to provide you with applications that come in for discretionary permits. We have a lot more applications in-house that are ministerial permits, such as building permits and so forth, but these are discretionary permits that will come before you. The other announcement that we have at the Planning Department is that we have been working on the resubmittal application for the Lance of Lee property, and that per the request of the Planning Commission to have major projects such as these to come in at a special meeting, the staff is requesting the Planning Commission to have a special meeting for this tentative map to be before you on September 11th to 2024. And staff has contacted the commissioners previously on this, and just wanted to inform you of this.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Public comment. This is for items that are not on tonight's agenda but are under the purview of the Planning Commission. Is there any general public comment?
Is this a general public comment? You didn't put an item. So Elias Salinas, please approach the podium. You'll have 3 minutes.
30 seconds.
Thank you. Good timing. I got here just in time. Okay. So thank you for the report that I caught at the end there from Director Prado. Again, I'm going to ask, because I haven't heard it yet, and I do listen online, farm worker housing, permits for farm worker housing. What's the list? How many have been already approved and how many are in the works? Because when I drive around or when I talk to someone, it's already started, and I don't hear it coming through the planning department and the planning commission. Also, I would like to see on an agenda item, I would hope that you planning commissioners would request a future agenda item on the cannabis ordinance. There was a few months ago, and there have been others, illegal cannabis activity going on. And what are the fines? Are we seeing any fines? And what's going on is they get caught, they get a slap in the hand and say, nope, you're not supposed to do it this way. And then they say, oh, by the way, the planning commission goes out there, or the code enforcement says, you have to get a permit to take down your hoop houses or to take down your greenhouses. They take them down anyway. And there's no fines. I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing any penalty. I'm not seeing anything that will make sure that the landowners in this county don't get into the, I didn't know because I leased it and then they subleased it. Eventually it goes down to the landowner. It's their responsibility to know what's going on on their land. And the penalties go to the landowner. The penalties do not go to the person who's leasing or subleasing. And then I've seen on a couple occasions where the landowner doesn't get fined because, okay, we understand, you didn't know. It's irrelevant whether they knew or didn't know. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. And if you're not a good landlord and know what's going on your property, then shame on you and shame on the planning department that's not going out there enforcing it and getting those fees that are due. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment?
There is no more public comment in chambers or via Zoom.
Thank you. Public comment is closed. Consent agenda. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
No.
Oh, there's a certificate of posting. Okay. Is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
I make a motion we adopt the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, carries 5-0. Thank you. Public hearing. Hold a public hearing and consider resolution regarding county planning file PLN 240013, a conditional use permit for the operation of several businesses at 10 Flint Road.
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, members of the public. I am Victor Tafoya, Associate Planner with the County of San Benito. The applicant has requested that this item be postponed to the September 28, 2024 Planning Commission. Unfortunately, the applicant is unable to attend today due to personal reasons and therefore is requesting that this item be postponed.
Okay, thank you. Is there any public comment for this item? Of course.
Elias Salinas, please approach the podium. You will have 3 minutes.
Just what makes it okay for the planning commission to say, okay, for personal reasons, whatever they may be, okay, we're going to put it on, extend it on to another date. I think that there should be a reason and a logical reason. I understand that on the September 20th, there's already going to be some big issues that are going to be heard on that day. It's my understanding. I could be wrong, but to keep pushing things on, and this is not the first time, and I'm not talking about this in a specific applicant, but applicants come before you, either they're not ready or their attorneys say, hey, we missed something, but we're not getting that information as a public and you as the planning commissioners. So when is enough to be, okay, personal reasons, we're going to extend it.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to continue this item until the regular meeting of September 18th, 2024?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion
No.
carries 5. Whoop.
Sorry.
1 opposed. Commissioner Toledo is opposed.
Yeah, I said no. Also.
Oh, okay. Sorry. That's a 3-2. Commissioner Toledo and Scagliotti are opposed. Motion carries. Thank you. Next items. 7.2, Hold a public hearing to consider adopting a resolution to approve a tentative map subdividing an existing 251.94 acre parcel into two separate parcels. 2231 Shore Road.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. Jonathan Olivas, Associate Planner with San Benito County, and this evening I'll be presenting PLN 240016, minor subdivision at 2231 Shore Road. Our discussion tonight will cover project location, description, CEQA, land use consistency, and staff recommendations. This site is approximately 8 miles northwest of downtown Hollister, about 1 mile to the east of the intersection of Highway 25 and Shore Road. The project is located in a rural area surrounded by mostly agricultural land uses with some rural housing in the vicinity. The project proposes to subdivide an existing 251.94 acre parcel into two separate parcels, each measuring 228.48 acres and 20 acres respectively, with a 3.46 acre road dedication. Parcel 1 is undeveloped agricultural land. Parcel 2 has one agricultural accessory structure and is otherwise undeveloped. This project proposes no construction at this time, and it is also worth noting that this subdivision changes very little about what entitlements will be allowed, as the zoning already allows nearly the same degree of use without the subdivision. The image on screen shows a close-up of Parcel 2 and the location of the agricultural accessory structure near Shore Road. The image on screen shows the project site facing south towards the Hollister Valley from the middle of Parcel 2, with Parcel 1 off in the distance. This image shows the project site facing east towards the Tequesquita Slough from Parcel 2 along Shore Road between the intersections of Fraser Lake and Lake Road. This is the project site facing west towards the Flint Hills and Highway 25 from Parcel 2 near the intersection of Fraser Lake and Shore Road. This is the project site facing northwest towards San Felipe Lake and Gilroy, with Shore Road in the foreground. This site is the land use consistency. The purpose of the underlying A general plan designation is to uphold agricultural productivity, particularly on prime farmland, encompassing various productive land types such as crops, vineyards, and grazing areas. This designation permits agricultural support uses, essential facilities, and one primary residential unit per lot, all in aid of preserving productive agricultural viability. The zoning is AP, and this zoning designation is to facilitate diverse agricultural activities such as articulated in the general plan, which includes supporting agricultural-related activities like vineyards, wineries, and associated uses. Additionally, it allows for limited low-density residential development while prioritizing the preservation of prime farmland. Some general plan policies of note that this project aligns with are LU 3.2, agricultural integrity and flexibility. This policy directs the county to protect the integrity of existing agricultural resources and provide both flexibility and economic viability for farming and ranching operations. The project proposes large lots of 20 acres and 228.48 acres, respectively, which still allow for the existing agricultural operations to continue. The site would remain commercially viable for the existing agricultural operations, in addition to retaining sufficient lot area to be eligible for maintaining its Williamson Act status under San Benito County Code Chapter 1901, which sets minimum lot area standards for parcels to receive this property tax deduction in exchange for agricultural productivity in accordance with the state of California's Williamson Act. As stated earlier, this proposal primarily revolves around delineating new property boundaries and does not include plans for new construction. The current zoning regulations already allow for nearly the same level of land use as what could occur with or without this subdivision. The project qualifies for a common sense exemption under CEQA, as it assures that the proposed subdivision will not significantly impact the environment. No ground disturbance or construction activities are proposed, and the project will not disrupt ecologically sensitive areas, and the existing zoning regulations already permit similar land use activities. It also qualifies for a Class 1 exemption, as it involves maintenance, repair, or minor alteration of existing infrastructure without expanding the current use. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the staff report, review the attached draft resolution, including findings and conditions of approval, receive public comment, adopt the resolution, including findings, to approve minor subdivision parcel map PLN 240016, subject to the conditions of approval found in the resolution. Any questions?
Thank you. Before we go to the commission, is there any public comment?
Yes, Matt Kelly, please approach the podium. Are you with the project? Okay, you don't have a time limit, then you can speak on behalf of the applicant.
Well, there is a limit, but it's not 3 minutes.
Okay.
10.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chair, commissioners, staff, members of the public. My name is Matt Kelly. I'm from Kelly Engineering and Surveying. And I wanted to thank Jonathan for his excellent staff report and the resolution. I am here to request a waiver of a couple of the conditions. Number 26 is requesting road improvements along Shore Road. And number 29 is requesting the undergrounding of utilities. The reason I'm requesting these is, as Jonathan pointed out, this is a zero impact project. As I was thinking about talking about this project tonight, I was thinking about saying it has no impact on the environment, which isn't quite true. This project actually has a positive impact on the environment by preserving sensitive wetlands that have been identified in the property. They're going to be identified on the map as non-buildable zones. So the project actually has a positive impact on the environment. There's no construction, no traffic impacts. As Jonathan pointed out, it's just going to continue on being used as it has been for many years. But it's also going to provide an opportunity for a local farmer to seek ownership on land he's been using for the past 6 or 7 years. I am here for any questions, and I appreciate your consideration of my request.
Thank you. Is there any public comment?
I have no hands via Zoom and no cards in the chambers.
Okay, public comment is closed. Back to the commission. Commissioners have any thoughts about the project in general or the two conditions that the applicant's representative mentioned? I certainly don't have a problem getting rid of the undergrounding, 29. And there's always a modification we could do to 26 for the road improvement, the standard one where we delay it until a building permit is issued. But what are the thoughts of the commission? Any other items that have caught your eye? No?
No. One question, though. There is an existing packing shed on one of those parcels, one of the new parcels. Which parcel is that packing shed going to be on?
It'll be on parcel 2.
Which is how many acres?
That is 20 acres, and I did confirm the permits for that as well.
Okay. Question. How much vehicle traffic on that packing shed during the day?
That I don't have any information on the traffic studies on that. Do you?
Should we consider maybe some road improvement along that 20-acre frontage? Because we already have a packing shed directly across the street from there. And if we're going to do packing sheds out there and we're going to do this, we need to think about our road improvements.
Yeah, so that packing shed's been there 2015 and kind of had that operation since then. So it's not going to be any additional than what's already there. I do understand, the concern, but it's not going to be anything different than it has been for the past 10 years.
Okay. Are the big rigs coming and going, or is it not tractor trailers? Is it smaller?
No, they have a beet packing. They pack beets, and so mostly just it'll be, whatever they use to haul the produce in and out.
Thank you. Do you have any other comments or?
No, just a concern.
Concern,
that
yeah.
The road's not wide enough right there. And we have the packing shed across the street, and then this one. And what's to say in a couple of years he gets successful and he doesn't try and make it bigger. He's got 20 acres there to play with.
Did you want to ask the county engineer his thoughts?
Sure.
Steve. Thanks for coming, Steve.
I'll pull you right into this, Steve.
Absolutely. So I'm Steve Blue, Public Works Administrator, Chair, Planning Commissioners. Yes, so based on comments and discussions and the fact that there's not change in use, I don't think we should, the condition could be predicated on future improvements to the property. If it's operating as it is today and it's a right-hand turn for the little packing shed, I don't see a lot of improvements, but for future conditions, I think it's worthwhile to say if future things are, as Commissioner Scaglio said, if they expand the packing operation, et cetera, then those conditions should be implemented. So that's my input on the question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioners, are we okay with striking condition 29 and modifying condition 26 to say that before a building permit is issued, those improvements will have to be done? Is that acceptable?
I would be.
Commissioner Ringhayden?
I have a question in regards to item 29. If they're not building anything else, then why does that matter anyway? I mean, if so, the underground utilities, we're not going to make them put anything there. They're already fed, aren't they?
But I believe this is saying that they have to underground them regardless of, as long as this is approved, they have to underground them regardless of if there's a new structure put in.
Oh, okay, got it.
I don't read it that way because it says all proposed utilities. And if there are no utilities proposed, I think you have a point.
I think the two commissioners are right. It would leave 29 like it is. Like it says, all proposed utilities within, so that means if they do something new, then they got to underground it.
So if they expand the packing shed, they have to underground the utilities along the entire frontage? I mean, that's kind of, isn't that excessive? Because it's a rather large parcel. I mean, it's $1 million of undergrounding for a packing shed.
Wouldn't the proposed utilities mean new service, new?
I was talking about the overhead lines.
And
There's no overhead lines on that side of the road.
any proposed change to the packing shed or expansion of use, it'd have to come back through planning anyways, and would, be most likely discretionary permit to expand use.
Okay. So we want to leave in 29? Is that?
What do you guys think?
Let's hear from the engineer.
If I may add some clarification, it says all proposed utilities within the subdivision and along peripheral streets. Peripheral streets means all the streets surrounding the property.
So even if it's across the way, you underground them on shore.
If you read the code, the county code says more specifically on your side.
Okay.
So I don't believe there are poles on shore, but is it Flynn? No, not Flynn. Fraser Lake Road actually continues on as a dirt road beyond the intersection. And that does have a line of poles on their side of the property.
That's just a private road.
I disagree.
That's a county road. All the way back to the dairy.
Yep.
Oh, okay, then I stand corrected. I always thought that was private. It's a dedicated county road. Okay, then
Strike 29?
Strike
We're
29.
back to
Yeah.
striking 29 and,
Yeah.
If it's
And
county, strike it.
okay.
but I am concerned with number 26.
What is your concern regarding 26?
We need to put some wording in there if they go to do something with that 20-acre parcel where that packing shed is at, that they have to do improvements. And we got to get that in there somehow, that not just for the 20 acres, because it could cause a hazard for the whole length from the cheese factory all the way back to Fraser Lake Road. That's at the bend. That bend should be, if they do a lot more out there, that bend is going to become a problem.
I have a quick question. This may be for Jonathan, but so say we go to expand it or whatever the future owner does, wouldn't that have to go back through the county process before they issue any type of building permit or any type of improvement and be up to their discretion?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, but I want to make sure that gets done, because a lot of times that doesn't get written in, and then that's why we have all these problems when we're going back trying to fix things. I want it done here today.
For decades, we've missed stuff.
Missed stuff, and they haven't put it in properly.
So what is it that you're proposing, I guess, is a,
So you're saying before a building permit is issued, or do you want to include language about further subdivision as well?
For the subdivision, if they break it up anymore, they got to fix it.
yeah, I think we'd be okay with if there's any further,
Same type of thing we did for your property out on.
yeah, if there's any further subdivision, I don't know, that we would be okay with if there's any other building permits, because that would go through the building department, correct? If there's any future subdivision, yeah, we'd be fine with adding that language.
I have no problem with stuff, just to make sure it gets done, because we have all these problems around the county.
Yeah, no, that's
Just the wording.
we
It's
can,
just the wording, you guys.
can agree to that. But if the new tenant decides to expand I don't know that that's really reasonable for them
Justifies.
to expand
For
the whole
future. I
So
would say.
any future subdivision
subdivision.
triggers.
Fine.
Yeah, I'm worried about the future.
We'll
That's
take out the building permit
You get rid
condition,
of it,
we'll
yeah.
say future subdivision of any one of those two parcels
Three
triggers.
It's into 3 parcels. isn't it?
Two.
No.
Oh, 2?
Two.
Okay. Yeah.
Is that acceptable? Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to the effect that strikes 29 and modifies 26 to say any further subdivision of either parcel triggers?
I motion to modify.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Next item. Agenda. Next item, please. I misplaced my agenda page.
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Jonathan Olivas, Associate Planner with San Benito County, and I will be presenting PLN 220004, minor subdivision at 1175 Comstock Road. We will cover project location, description, CEQA, land use consistency, and staff recommendations. So the site is approximately 8 miles northeast of downtown Hollister, about a mile east of the intersection of Fairview Road and Comstock Road. The project is located again in a predominantly rural and agricultural area. The project proposes to subdivide an existing 38.93 acre lot into 4 lots of 23.57 acres and 3 5-acre lots. Parcel 1 has 3 dwelling units, 2 agricultural accessories, and a domestic and agricultural well. Parcels 2, 3, and 4 are undeveloped agricultural land, and this subdivision does propose 3 new dwelling units as part of this subdivision. Yeah. Okay. So this image shows the site plan, which shows the existing access from Comstock Road, future access from Bluff Drive, and existing features such as a domestic well, an ag well, the residences, including ADUs, and 3 accessory structures that are all currently located on parcel 1. This image shows the location of the proposed building envelopes on parcels 2, 3, and 4. Those are the 5-acre lots. This image shows the project site facing east from the southern boundary of parcel 4, with Bluff Drive in the distance and with parcels 2 and 3 to the north. This image shows the project site facing north towards Comstock Road, viewed from the southern boundary of the property along the border of parcel 1 and 4. You can see the 2 existing accessory structures in the distance near Comstock Road that are located currently on parcel 1. This is the project site entrance from the northern property edge of parcel 1 from Comstock Road. This is also where the potential frontage improvements would occur if approved. And this is the project site looking south from parcel 4 near the future site of one of the 3 proposed residences. And the general plan designation for this aims to preserve agricultural productivity on prime farmland, allowing for agricultural uses, support facilities, and a primary residential unit per lot to maintain the viability of agricultural activities. The AP zoning designation supports the objectives of the general plan by permitting a range of agricultural activities, including vineyards and wineries, while allowing limited low-density residential development to prioritize the preservation of prime farmland. The project is consistent with both of these designations. Some general plan policies of note that this project aligns with are General Plan Policy LU 3.12, agricultural valuability of small parcels. This policy requires projects applicants seeking to subdivide agriculturally zoned parcels to demonstrate the ongoing feasibility of lots smaller than 40 acres for commercial ag operations. In this case, the parcel's existing size is already too small for viable large-scale commercial agriculture, even without the proposed subdivision. The subdivision allows for 3 new homes on parcels 2, 3, and 4, each potentially with an ADU. This is consistent with both the general plan and zoning designations. The project complies with all zoning and land use regulations with expected development below the district's floor area ratio of 0.5. An initial study / mitigated negative declaration was completed for the project following CEQA requirements with technical reports supporting the findings. Mitigation measures were identified to reduce significant impacts to less than significant levels, and some of these addressed concerns in the areas of biological, geological, soils, cultural resources, tribal cultural resources, hydrology, and water quality. These measures are included in the draft resolution as conditions of approval. The county also engaged with Native American individuals and tribal organizations per AB 52, incorporating their feedback into the conditions of approval. The ISM&D was publicly noticed and open for review and comment from June 10th to July 9th, 2024. All relevant comments and mitigation measures have been included in the final resolution and conditions of approval. The county did receive a comment from the Department of Toxic Substance Control, and the comments on screen were incorporated into the resolution and conditions of approval. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission review the staff report and review the attached draft resolution, which includes findings and recommended conditions of approval. Staff further recommends the Planning Commission make the findings included in the resolution and adopt the resolution to approve PLN 220004, minor subdivision tentative parcel map, which includes approving the mitigated negative declaration, subject to the conditions of approval found in the resolution. Any questions?
Thank you. Before we go to public comment, do the commissioners have any comments or questions, concerns? Commissioner Scagliotti?
Yes, I do. I have no problem with it because that's what it's for, but we're getting too many houses up on Comstock Road for the little road that goes around that hill. Nobody can see. We keep piling more cars up there. What's the mitigation that you have for that road? Have you taken that into consideration around that hill?
So, DDNA did the initial study, and they did not find any impacts for traffic for the particular development as it stands.
But the road is being widened along the entire frontage of Comstock, right?
Yes.
So it'll
that
get
would
us
be
partially to the curve?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the property actually ends like kind of like right at the midway point of the curve.
Oh, I know exactly where it's at.
Yeah. So
It's pretty far back.
widen to about there.
Yeah, but you have across the street, you have that whole 250 acres that's broken into 5-acre parcels. What I'm saying is we're getting a lot of parcels up on that road, and that's just still an old road that was 100 years ago, except with some pavement on it. It's just as wide. Somebody's going to get a head on around that. Eventually, going to get a head on around that curve. That's all I'm saying. I'm concerned about that.
The upside is the proposed improvements would at least widen out that southern end of that curve, so it would allow for more visibility than is currently there. So that is definitely part of the conditions of approval.
And my other concern is drainage. He's up higher than everyone else. So how are you going to maintain all the runoff stormwater for that? Where's it going to go? You have a pond that's going to be built that'll hold 500 years flood?
The engineer could probably comment more closely on what their specific drainage plans are, but they are on there with the retention ponds and all of that. So, but he can comment
Will it
further.
hold a 500-year flood?
Yes, if you could come up to the podium, sir, and please tell us. We're very concerned about runoff. We want projects to hold 100%. So we're trying to
Thank you.
discern where you are with your calculations.
Well, being that this is the tentative map and not the improvement plan stage, we have tentatively designed a retention pond for the county standards. And as far as I know, that is to contain the 100-year flood and release it at the 10-year level.
Yeah. Getting government to change things is like pulling teeth. It's taken 6 years to even talk about it. Okay. Did I answer your question, Commissioner Scagliotti?
Yes.
Any other comments or questions before we go to public comment? Commissioner Way?
Well, I have a few things flagged in here, but I think that'll be, we're going to come back to us after the public
Yes.
comment. Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ringhayden, anything before we go to Ms. Salinas?
Not to this point, but I just would like to reiterate what he's saying in the, well, I'm sure we'll revisit the.
Oh, we're gonna revisit everything. Public comment?
Yeah, Elias Salinas, please approach the podium. You will have 3 minutes.
Thank you, and thank you, Commissioner Scagliotti, for mentioning that, because that is a very dangerous curve, and you really got to slow down. Now, either the county can come up and put some mirrors up there, or, as the commission has been trying to do, is to say any developer that's going to come in and going to get some, the property owner's going to get some future development in there, fix the entire road. Half the curve is not going to do it. I like the fact that Mr. Kelly, it's not his fault, you know, the retention pond to county code, not state standard codes. And that's where Anderson Homes got in trouble. We know exactly what happened out there. So I don't think we need to, I think the county has learned their lesson, and you need to go above and beyond and not just go with county code. And I thought it was my understanding, Mr. Luke can comment to the fact that I thought it was my understanding San Benito County was going to improve their codes and go to equal to the state so that we wouldn't have to fall again into what happened with Anderson Homes over there. So, you know, nothing has been grown out there in decades, except for cannabis, and everybody complained about cannabis, right exactly in that location. So to go under that, it's, you know, ag land, and, you know, maybe we're gonna have some wineries out there where they're gonna grow some grapes, and they're gonna, you know, it's the luxury of saying, look what we're gonna do. A home and an ADU. When we had, a year and a half ago, we had a small agricultural owner of land that wanted to add some farm worker housing to their property, which would have benefited himself and his employees, and he was turned down because he was saying as well that, look, we're going to also have agriculture on that land, so the farm worker housing qualifies, but they were turned down. So here's something else that's coming on board. It's not even close to what this other applicant was trying to do. And basically what I'm trying to say is you have the haves and you have the have-nots. But policy is policy, and you must make a decision based on policy and not based on the name of the applicant that's coming for you. So let's let them get that road widened on through the whole curb. You're not asking, I mean, Mr. Bickle didn't have to fix entire Comstock Road when he built those houses out there, the Comstock Estate homes, but it probably would have been a great idea that we should have had, and the previous administration should have had Mr. Bickle fix the entire Comstock Road based on the value of those homes that are out there and the high traffic, as Mr. Scagliotti says. There's a lot of cars out there now. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
The applicants, no, there's no public comment
Okay.
in chamber or via Zoom. The applicant's representative would like to make some more comments.
Okay, public comment is closed. To the applicant, please.
Matt Kelly.
Thank you. Good evening again. Matt Kelly with Kelly Engineering. I am asking for a minor revision to some of the public works conditions. Number 25, roadway improvements, focusing in on the phrase prior to recordation of the parcel map, as well as number 6, improvement plans prior to recordation of the parcel map. It's normally allowed to have an applicant bond for improvements prior to the development going forward, but allowing him to record the final map. This will allow the owner to actually sell some of the lots, recoup some of his expenses, and use that money to do some of these improvements. We don't have any objection to the 60-foot right-of-way dedication or the road improvements on Comstock Road, but we would like the ability to bond for those so that the map can record ahead of time. Again, the utility undergrounding is an issue on this project. In 1999, Comstock Estates built over 30 lots. They did not underground any poles on Comstock Road. They did underground their utilities, but that's a different issue. John Bluff did 2 subdivisions in 2004 and 2013. Bill Young did a subdivision in 2011, and neither of those required any undergrounding on Bluff Drive. In my opinion, it's normal to see poles and wires in a predominantly rural and agricultural area. I don't think they're visually impairing. They've been there for decades. And so I humbly request that condition number 28 be waived. Oh, another point that Mr. Chair brought up earlier is it would be over a half a mile of undergrounding for 3 lots, for the benefit of 3 lots. It doesn't pencil out. Appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to the commission. Do you have any comments, questions, or concerns before we discuss the conditions of approval? Commissioner Ringhaden? Commissioner Toledo?
So the entrance to Comstock is off of Fairview, or is there another road that you can go in through the homes? No? So the only entrance is the actual Comstock Road, right? Okay, I've driven it, but I just wanted to make sure there was no other entrance. So that road is actually not in good shape. So with that being said, I do have further questions about the road, but I wanted to state that, and then I'll read the conditions that they want to. Okay.
Commissioner Way?
Yeah, a technical issue with one of the conditions, one of the mitigation items. Mitigation item bio-2, I think there's a wording problem here, and county council can help me with this, I think. It says construction activities that may affect nesting raptors and other protected avian species may be timed to avoid the avian nesting season. I would like to see that say shall be timed. Sure. Okay. And similarly, specifically vegetation or tree removal can be scheduled between September 16th and January 31st. I'd like to see it say shall be scheduled. And because it follows up by saying if this is not possible, so it doesn't lock it down, but it makes it clear that this is a requirement, not a recommendation.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so that was one thing. Let's see. On the hydrology and water quality, I would like somebody to explain to me, and forgive me because I don't know the terminology here. What is SWPPP?
Stormwater prevention.
Stormwater prevention.
Stormwater.
Stormwater pollution prevention plan.
Oh, okay, thank you. All right, thank you, that makes more sense. Oh, I'm on page 95 in our packet.
Yep.
And I think that might be the extent, one moment. On our page 148, which I'm hard pressed to explain what it will be for you, but it is labeled, it's a photograph, and it's labeled CTS CNDDB occurrences and aquatic resources, and it shows a 2-kilometer buffer of proposed development lots. I don't understand, what is that buffer? What does that mean?
Let me see if I can find the equivalent page. But typically, the buffers are there to prevent any disturbance of environmental resources. So that could, or
It's a huge
potential.
buffer.
So that could be what that is. Page 23, 33. Yeah, so I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that is actually their research area for where they pulled resources from, if I'm not mistaken. That was the area they looked at as potentially impacts for the project.
Interesting to use the term buffer for that, but okay. All right, thank you. And I think that's the last of my questions, at least for the moment. So thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Scagliotti?
Yeah, one question for staff. Didn't we ask that they bring up our county code equal to the state and or the city of Hollister? Didn't we ask for that?
We're working on it, right, Steve? But the state is concerned more about quality than quantity. But we're working on our own code to get it up to 1,000 years.
At least.
Oh, well, I just don't want to see any water come off there because that is up the hill to everybody else that's downhill. And if you put 5 houses out there with ADUs, that's 10. You're going to take up a lot of property that you're going to have runoff on, and it's going to go down towards Fairview Road. So I want to see it to where it holds a 500-year flood. A pond that'll hold a 500-year flood.
Mr. Kelly, any
Enough
response?
flooding issues in this community. We don't need any more.
What's the county's response to that? We kind of are not in this 100-year flood anymore. People are kind of saying, well, it's more like a 500-year or whatever. I mean, you know, it's more common to have this heavy weather now. So is there a recalculation? Is there anything that you guys have changed to recalculate how much water you need to collect?
That would be a question for Steve.
Sorry to make it so wordy.
Yeah, I guess the question being asked is, should we, as a county, revise our standards to withhold a 500-year storm on site and just release the pre-development flows? Is that the question, or what's the question, I guess?
The question is, has there been a recalculation of how much water? I mean, you've got this calculation to decide how much or how large the pond should be, right? Has there, in the last 10 years, 5 years, been any recalculation to that number?
Yeah, when they do a 100-year storm, they look at historical data and they come up with 100-year storm amounts. And if it's adjusted for the last 100 years, it is adjusted. Now, you're thinking probably like they should refine it to perhaps the last 10 years and make some calibration because
Correct.
in the last 10 years, the climate has changed.
It seems that the
more
climate has got more extreme, so you would think that you would have adjusted a little bit the calculation.
Yeah, and
That has not
there's
happened.
nothing in our code that says that. And currently it just says 100-year storm.
That's why we're trying to update our code.
Chair Gibson, so the problem here is that we can't enforce the 500-year flood, or we can't.
Can we add that as a condition?
Well, it's not a county code. I don't know that's a legal
Because we don't have the
question, I
code,
guess.
right? That's why we can't apply it.
Is there anything we can do, Sean, for this project and going forward until we get our code fixed?
I'm not sure how common a 500-year flood condition is.
It's extremely uncommon to be in a code, I'll say that
Okay.
much. So.
Yeah.
We could be cutting edge.
Could be cutting edge. I would advise to stay away from being cutting edge in this forum. But it's the pleasure of the commission as to how you said that, yeah.
Okay, thank you for the
Just out of
response.
curiosity, is there a different standard for the state than there is for the county in that water collection?
I have no idea myself. I think that's more of a Steve question there.
So currently in our county code, as the engineer correctly stated, whatever is running off today during a 10-year storm event, which we'll call it, depending on where you're at, it could be 2 inches or 3 inches, that condition today is allowed to run off before any changes are made. And then the site is required to hold back any drainage from a 100-year storm that falls on the site, and impervious areas increase everything above what's flowing off today. They're supposed to retain that on site and just allow that pre-development flow to flow off the site. Does that answer the question?
I have a question. The 100-year flood, is it not good enough? Is that, so it's not good enough. So it's putting our residents at risk.
It's the term not good enough, I think perhaps is subjective, but
I'll say it's
try to answer
insufficient.
that. So.
That's my answer. It's
So it could be a
insufficient.
public health issue as well for the rest of the or residents that live in the block.
Lower line areas.
Lower line.
Like the mobile home park along Fairview and the people down Santa Ana Creek that had water up to their doors because of a development that we failed to plan for properly. So yeah,
Then
but we're
it'll
not
fall
going
on
to
them.
solve that problem tonight. And I think council was urging us to move along because we're not going to change that ordinance this evening. We will take a bite at it and we will have our way eventually. Are there any other questions regarding this project, or do we have the conditions that we want to mull over?
I know we've beat that to death. I know
It's just not agendized, so we don't want to keep beating it right now.
I want to add about the Comstock Road. Are we going to put any conditions to fix the curve or the road? Because in general,
Well,
that road needs.
While Steve is up there, we can ask him about the county plans.
Yeah, we actually received the 30% plans. The first design is the first stage of the design has been submitted to actually improve Acuesta Pace, Comstock, Fairview. So we don't have all the construction funds yet, but long story short, it's a county project, assuming we're actually applying for funds and applying for grants. And so the county has a plan to fix that curve as well as Fallon Fairview down about a mile down the road.
So we're applying for grants because we have no money to fix that road.
For that intersection, we do not have construction funding secured.
So I can't ask, my follow-up question would be, when would that road finally be fixed?
Yeah, that'd be difficult to answer, but we are working on the design and hopefully we can acquire funding. And for example, Measure G is a sales tax. It generates funds. And so if there's funds generated, we're working on the design right now. And I'll
Well, hypothetically speaking, how long would that road be with the grants that we've applied for in the past? Maybe some knowledge that you may have. How long do you think that? Because I have had residents that live on that street and actually call me and say that we need that road fixed.
5 years, 10 years?
5 years sounds good. I can't predict funding. I'll get myself in trouble
Right, I know you can't predict funding.
Yeah.
But just
as soon
kind
as
of
we have funding,
approximate.
we would very much support improving that intersection.
Maybe a
as soon as
GoFund.
we have funding.
GoFundMe, the county will say.
I like that.
GoFundMe.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Any other questions, Commissioner Toledo? Commissioner Way?
On Bio-3, and I hate to micromanage this stuff, and maybe we don't need to, but it's a little bit vague. It says a qualified biologist will conduct an employee education program for the construction crew. Could the biologist say, I talked to the construction crew for half an hour and that was the education program? Or are there some parameters involved here, or?
Typically on secret reviews, when they have that condition, there is actually a standards for what they have to do as far as education, what it counts with the state and what doesn't.
Oh, okay, so that would be taken care of then.
Yeah, they can't just go in there and say, here, we handed out flyers, for sure.
Thank you.
Did you have anything else? No, not right now. Steve, I have a question for Steve. 26, is that condition, does there need to be modification per the applicant's comment? Or are we good with 26 the way it's currently written?
I apologize, is it 25 or 26?
No, 26 was the improvement plan. 87.
Okay, so was mine copy says 25 for road improvements? Is that?
No, improvement plan.
Okay, improvement plans, geotechnical investigation, that one?
Yes.
What's the question?
Yeah, the applicant said that it was, I'm sorry, I don't want to speak for you, Mr. Kelly, but you said it wasn't appropriate to have it in as a condition? What were you? Prior to recordation.
For bonding for both 25 and 26 bonding and
And bonding is sufficient. So a lot of our projects, they set aside a bond, and let's just say the improvement costs $2 million. They bond and give the county that bond. And so therefore, it allows them, as the engineer correctly stated, in the future, they have the option to either perform the improvement or the county can exercise a bond and we would hire someone to perform the improvement. So bond is acceptable.
Okay, thank you. So those two changes, would those be acceptable bonding for 25 and 26, Commission? Is there a consensus to add bonding to 25 and 26?
Yes.
Okay. And then we had 28 underground and utilities. I agree with Mr. Kelly that it's not appropriate out that far from the city. Is there a consensus on that? Okay. And then we have the 3 items under the mitigation measures that Commissioner Way brought up. Are those modifications acceptable? Yes. Okay. Consensus on that. So given all that, do we have a motion to adopt with the changes?
I'm so sorry. Can you please repeat the 3 things one more time for the record?
Conditions 25 and 26 add the option for bonding. Strike condition 28. And that's it. And then we have the 3 mitigation measures that Commissioner Way mentioned.
Right, the shall versus may and can.
For Bio 2.
And then actually, I think that was the only issue that I had with the mitigation.
So just Bio 2? I thought you said something about Bio 3 as well.
Well, I did, but that was resolved by clarification that
Okay.
there's an existing standard for the education program.
Okay, so just Bio 2. So 1 mitigation measure and 3 conditions.
Yeah, and then I had a question regarding an explanation of HYD1, but I got that explanation, so.
Okay, so I think we've cemented down the changes. Is there a motion to adopt with those changes? Don't rush.
Motion to adopt with those changes.
I'll second.
Thank you all very much. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries 4-1 with Commissioner Scagliotti in opposition. Thank you. Next item, regular agenda 8.1. Receive presentation from RWE Clean Energy on the Panoche Valley Solar Plant Decommissioning Fund discussion and provide direction on a request for the second decommissioning deposit waiver.
Yeah, hi. I'm Jun Kim, the asset manager for the Panoche Valley solar plant at RWE, joining with our company attorney, Mike Meir. It's our pleasure to represent our company and this project in front of the committee today, and we appreciate the opportunity to discuss our request for the second decommissioning fund waiver. Panoche Valley Solar, a 140 megawatt AC power plant, a solar power plant located 40 miles southeast of Hollister, is owned and operated by RWE. The solar plant is maintained to be clean and eco-friendly, harmonizing with the surrounding ecosystem. Today, in this presentation, I will briefly introduce RWE, the Panoche Solar Plant project, and the decommissioning cost and residual value analysis report by Westwood, the decommissioning agreement between the county and the project LLC, and our request for the second decommissioning fund waiver. So RWE is a global company, 120 years history, originating in Germany, but now it's a global company. Our primary focus is on renewable energy development, engineering, and operation to support a low carbon emission world. We are globally number 2 in offshore wind and number 3 in the US for renewable energy power plant. Our next page, please. Our core business is leading offshore wind and onshore wind, solar and the battery storage system and the hydrogen, and we are trading energy real time. Next page, please. So we value our local communities by listening to their passions, concerns, and by supporting local events, education, and charities. Next. Our vertical business integration enable maximize our value capture from the origination and development to operation of project. Next page. We are currently operating over 9 gigawatt assets in the U.S. The Panoche Valley Solar Project is one of them. Next page. Okay, we have strong growth ambition, especially in the U.S. So our company is tremendously investing capital and resource to develop renewable energy in the U.S. Next page, please. Panoche Valley Solar Project, as I mentioned, this is 140 megawatt AC solar only plant in 1,688 acres. Which is in COD commercial operation date first quarter 2019, so it's 5 years old site. So annual production from this project is about 350,000 megawatt hour, which can be used for 33,000 householders annually. For RWE employees working daily at the site. Three things I want to point out here. RWE donated 26,500 acres to the county when this project was developed. And $87,000 property tax we are paying to the county annually on in addition to like $384K additional property tax annually. Next page, please. So this solar plant looks like this, and then it has 600,000 solar panels and the substation equipment there, transformers and inverters, which is converting power from solar panels to the grid line, which is connected to PG&E grid system. We have O&M, small O&M building in the site. So what that means, decommissioning is if we need to remove all this equipment we installed on the ground, and it costs for the decommissioning is the next phase. By Westwood decommissioning report, it ended up like total about $17 million, but residual value is actually almost $20 million. So the project residual value is higher than the decommissioning costs by $2.25 million. Next page. And second point two, RWE also deposited the first decommissioning fund last year, $2.67 million, and RWE owns the project land, which is about 2,500 acres. For complete transparency, I also acknowledge the minimum fund requirement outlined in the decommissioning agreement. So last page. So our request here, RWE is seeking a waiver for the second decommissioning deposit of $3.8 million. RWE would utilize this fund for the further green energy development to reduce carbon emission. And also we shall do this decommissioning study with third-party engineering consulting companies like Westwood, with the county commissioning, teams of agreement. And then if there is any discrepancy between the decommissioning cost and the residual value, then we will add more funds to protect the county. RWE is fully committed to providing such a protection. This is the end of the presentation. If you have any questions, please let us know.
Thank you.
And June, can I just emphasize a few points that you made? And I think June covered it well. I just would summarize that RWE Clean Energy is a U.S.-based company. We're one of the biggest renewable wind, solar, battery developers. We have big commitments in terms of the amount of renewable energy we're going to be developing and currently operating. So we're not a seller of projects. And the pursuant to the Westwood report, which was commissioned, obviously pursuant to the decommissioning agreement, the residual value of the site and the equipment on the site exceeds the decommissioning cost for both the first phase, which RWE has already funded the decommissioning fund for $2.67 million, and it also exceeds the residual value, also exceeds the decommissioning cost for the second phase. And the reason, and as June said, we're obviously transparent that the decommissioning agreement has a floor in terms of the dollar amount in the decommissioning fund that's based on this 2009 study with an inflation adjuster. But we did want to point out that our request for a waiver is really in the intent of the agreement and the decommissioning fund portion of the agreement, that the intent of the fund is to, along with the residual value of installed improvements, will provide sufficient financial assurance for county to decommission the project and fully restore the property. And as the chart on June's slide shows, even without the phase one contribution to the fund that RWE has already made, the county is oversecured, and so that prompted our request for a waiver of the second payment so that RWE can deploy these funds rather than sitting in a bank account. They can be deployed for development of renewable energy projects in California and elsewhere in the United States. So we appreciate your consideration and the opportunity to speak to the committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any public comment regarding this item?
Yeah, Elias Salinas, please approach the podium. You will have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. I am really tired of San Benito County getting taken advantage of. They claim to be the largest, yet they want a waiver. They're making billions of dollars, but they want to take money, and they're saying, oh, we can't afford it. Please do this. When this project came on board, they were going to hire San Benito County residents. When this project came on board, it was going to be an economic development for San Benito County, and it was yay all the way. At the time, I even worked for the law firm that represented them. And it ended up that we didn't even get the money we were supposed to be getting. And nobody was paying attention where the money was. And it was, why did it have to go to San Francisco? And when was the last time San Benito County has actually done an audit on this? Now, this is a great example today for you all to think about this. Who has done a financial analysis for San Benito County, not just based on what this company is telling you, but our auditor, our assessor's office, should be doing an independent audit on how this will actually financially damage San Benito County by giving the waiver. The budget for this year was they used monies that are not going to be there next year. We are so broke right now. People don't realize how broke they are, except for maybe the people that are in this office, but not the people that actually live in this county. We cannot afford to be giving this money away, to waive it. They came in with a promise, and they're going away, with us holding the bag, not having made any money, and even the residents didn't even get their jobs out there. So shame on us for believing that this was really going to be great for San Benito County. But we have a different administration that's running San Benito County as well as the planning department. And I think you all are smart enough, and I know that you can ask the right questions so that actually an action does not need to be made today, or a decision needs to be made today, but maybe direction needs to be given to staff. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
There is no public comment in chambers or via Zoom.
Okay, public comment is closed. Back to staff. Did we have any other input from any other department heads?
We did send this to Joe Paul Gonzalez, our controller. He did review. Two comments he made was, one, the depreciating value. This was taken with the equipment is relatively new. Over time, the equipment value would go down. And so, this snapshot in time, that might change what those numbers were. In addition, what they would be depositing of the $3.6 million, there's interest that's accumulating in that account. And if you add it up over the next 5 years, it would average out to about $500,000.
Thank you. Commissioners, any comments, thoughts, questions about this request? Commissioner Way?
Yeah, I have a really, first, a really basic question, and I'm sure it's just my lack of understanding. Why is this facility being decommissioned in the first place?
It's not currently being decommissioned at this point in time, but when and if it does decommission.
So this is all like deposits for eventual decommissioning. Got it. Okay, thank you. And I would not be okay with waiving money that was due to the county, but I do think, unless I'm mistaken, that this is all in terms of deposits. And isn't it true that if for some reason the numbers didn't pan out the way Westwood thinks they will, that the RWE would still have to make us whole in terms of, coming up with the money at that point?
So the way the deposit is made, there's a minimum deposit requirement that was built into the development agreement, that even if these decommissioning reports value changed and it went down, that they were still required to deposit a minimum of $26,500 plus, I believe, 2.5% CPI interest adjustment.
Okay. Okay, thanks. And RWE is a public company, right? I mean, publicly, they're a profit-making organization. They're not a nonprofit or anything like that.
Correct.
No.
Okay. All right. Then I think Ms. Salinas' point is salient here, which is that, if they are, in fact, if they're in a position to be able to make this deposit, it seems to me like we would want them to perform it. That's all I had.
Okay, Commissioner Toledo?
Thank you, Commissioner Way, for asking those questions. I had some other questions to that. So with with the moving forward with the deposit, those funds are there in the account but can't be used by the county, right?
Correct. They are for this purpose alone. So they sit
repurposed for the actual project itself.
If they were to walk away, then the county would have money to perform the decommissioning. And if they walk away, they do all the decommissioning, then it is returned.
And to clarify, decommission would be close it down, basically.
Yes, remove all the equipment and bring back the project to existing conditions.
So technically, no money would be going to the county because that money would be going back to the to them to remove their own products.
The interest would remain with the county, I believe.
And how much is a percentage for the interest? No?
No.
Interest also will return to us.
Okay, thank you for adding that. Okay, so that removes another question, and I think I will hold off on my others. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Ringhaden?
Yeah, I don't have any questions at this time.
Commissioner Scagliotti?
No questions at this time.
I have one more then.
Commissioner Toledo?
Who owns the property? Then I have here the owner is the Panoche Valley Solar LLC, or?
RWE, that company bought the parcel and bought out the previous company.
Okay, so, okay.
And they can add to that.
And so this company owns the property now. Okay, and that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I have a whole bunch of questions about the project itself, and part of the agreement says that on an annual basis, the county will review it. This is my 6th year. I think we need to start checking development agreements every year, please. So we catch things. My concern is that this fund is to protect the county in case something were to happen out of the control of the company, or, you know, like an event from God that just wipes out the solar farm, and then the county has to step in because the company for some reason isn't willing to. This fund is here to protect the taxpayers, and the salvage, according to this study, is worth whatever the amount is, $10 million or something, according to the study, and that the money on deposit already would cover with the salvage of the equipment, and this fund would cover the county's expenses to decommission it and return it back to rangeland. This study also says that, and I haven't checked John Smith landfill in a while, but it's $28 a ton. I don't pay that, so I'm curious. I question the entire study, because when I go, I'm paying $54 or $57 a ton. So I don't know where they got the numbers, but it makes me question the entire study. If they can't get something as simple as landfill costs correct, I'm not going to trust the rest of the study. Also, this is the second payment. We're already asking to waive the second payment. You've only made 2 payments. This would be the second payment. And then the pilot schedule, while currently this year it is $348,000, it does decrease every year per the schedule on page, well, it's our page 393. I think it's Schedule J of the agreement. By year 2038, it goes down to $104,504. That's the last payment per the agreement. And the math just to waive the entire amount doesn't add up, because the difference between the salvage and the decommissioning, it would be $834,000 plus the $500,000 that the auditor said we'd be missing in interest. Just concerns me. The company may be big, but then why would they be coming and asking for $3 million to keep? I'm concerned. And because we haven't had the opportunity to review this project on an annual basis, I'm just curious as to what other items have not been followed through. But I just think it's a bad precedent on your second payment to ask for a waiver. It makes me question why you would need the $3 million out of that fund. I don't think it's necessary if you're a large enough company. The entire project is basically half of what it should have been. We missed out on a ton of sales tax because of it. So I'm not in favor of granting the waiver, and hopefully we have enough information on the record here that it goes forward, that it doesn't occur as well. So any other comments from the board, or do we give staff direction to ask the Board of Supervisors to deny this request?
I said we ask staff to ask the Board of Supervisors to deny this request.
Do we need a motion to that effect? Or is just consensus of the commission sufficient to?
I would make a motion in this case, so.
Okay, is there a motion to direct staff to request that the Board of Supervisors rejects this request for waiver?
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, that motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is commissioner announcements. Are there any announcements from the commission?
Yes.
Commissioner Ringhayden.
I just wanted to mention we had, Mr. Way and I had gone to, Commissioner Way and I had gone to the homeless task force, and it was enlightening, and it was, I think there's, if you have anything, I just thought it was a really good information for me to understand where we are in our homeless task force and fight against homelessness.
Commissioner Way?
Yeah, in particular with respect to what's going on with the clearing of the homeless encampments, and you know what we are and are not doing in that regard, and why, and what facilities and programs are available at the county level and within the city. And so yes, it was very enlightening, a lot of good information, and I'm glad I was able to participate.
Fantastic. Any other commissioners have announcements? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn? Oh, Commissioner Toledo, did you?
I just want to add to staff, thank you so much for your hard work. I just also want to remind applicants that come forward should give the staff an excuse, a reasonable excuse why they cannot make it to their hearing.
There was, but it was a personal nature that didn't need to be broadcast from the dais.
Okay, no problem. So, but thank you again for staff because they prepare this and take the time to do it, and they're always prepared to do that. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries 5-0. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.